For the purpose of this story, I'll refer to myself as Marcus. I work a standard 9 to 5 at a logistics company. Nothing exciting. I drive the same route to work every morning, eat lunch at the same time every day. And for the past 3 years, I've been going to the same gym every evening around 6:30. It became less of a habit and more of a personality trait. The gym was the one place where I didn't have to think about anything else. Just the weights, the music in my ears, and the hour and a half I carved out for myself. That's it. I wasn't there to make friends. I wasn't there to talk. Most regulars seem to understand that unspoken rule. Most of them. I first noticed her about 4 months into my membership. She was always there around the same time I was, which wasn't unusual. Gyms have their regulars, and you start to recognize faces the same way you recognize the furniture. You don't think about it. You just know it's there. She was average height, always wore the same style of dark workout clothes, and always had her hair pulled back. Nothing about her stood out at first. She just existed in the background the way most people do. The first time I actually paid attention was on a Tuesday. I was on the leg press when I glanced toward the mirror on the far wall and noticed her sitting on a bench directly behind me. She wasn't stretching. She wasn't on her phone. She was just sitting there, completely still, looking in my direction. I told myself she was zoning out the way people do mid-workout. I've done it myself. You finish a set, and your brain just goes blank for a second. I didn't think anything of it. The second time was harder to dismiss. I was on the cable machine a few days later, doing tricep pushdowns, and I caught her in the mirror again. Same thing. Sitting on a machine she wasn't using, angled toward me. The moment I turned around to grab my water bottle, she looked down at her phone. Not gradually, immediately, like a reflex. That specific kind of fast is what got me. Normal people don't move that quickly unless they know they've been caught. I started paying closer attention after that, without making it obvious. Over the next 2 weeks, I noticed a pattern that made my stomach uncomfortable in a way I couldn't fully explain at the time. Wherever I moved in the gym, she eventually appeared nearby. Not right away. There was always a delay, like she was trying to make it look natural. I'd move to the free weight section, and 10 minutes later she'd be on the bench 2 spots down. I'd go to the cable machines, and she'd materialize near the lat pull-down. She was never close enough for it to feel confrontational, just close enough to maintain a clear line of sight. I want to be honest here because I think this part matters. I second-guessed myself constantly during those 2 weeks. I told myself I was being paranoid. I told myself she probably just had a similar workout split. I told myself that gyms are small spaces and coincidences happen. I genuinely tried to talk myself out of what I was observing because the alternative felt uncomfortable to sit with. The alternative meant that a stranger had been watching me for weeks, and that's not something you want to be right about. The moment I stopped second-guessing myself happened on a Thursday evening. I was doing Romanian deadlifts near the back of the free weight section. I finished a set and looked up into the mirror in front of me. She was standing near the water fountain about 15 feet behind me. She wasn't filling her bottle. She was facing my direction with her phone held up at chest height. The angle was wrong for someone just checking their screen. It was pointed at me. I held eye contact with her reflection for a full 3 seconds, and she didn't look away. She didn't flinch. She just slowly lowered the phone and turned toward the fountain like nothing had happened. That was the moment something shifted in me. Not fear exactly. Something colder than fear. The feeling you get when you realize a situation has been going on longer than you knew. I didn't confront her that night. I finished my workout and left, but I was distracted the entire drive home. I sat in my car in my driveway for a few minutes just thinking through everything I had observed over the past few weeks and trying to see if there was a version of it that was innocent. I couldn't find one. The next day, I changed my workout time. Instead of 6:30 in the evening, I started going at 8:45 at night. The gym was quieter then, fewer people. I figured if she was a genuine regular on a normal schedule, she probably wouldn't be there that late. The first 3 times I went at the new time, she wasn't there. I actually started to relax. I thought the problem had resolved itself the easy way. Then on a Saturday, I went in at my new time, and within 20 minutes of arriving, she walked through the front door. She was wearing the same dark clothes. She didn't look around the gym the way most people do when they walk in. She looked directly at me. Across the entire length of the gym floor, through all the equipment and the other people, she looked directly at me. Then she walked to the changing area like it was nothing. I want you to understand what that felt like. I had changed my entire schedule specifically to avoid her. I hadn't told anyone at the gym. I hadn't posted anything. I had simply started showing up at a different time. And she had found it. I didn't work out that night. I grabbed my bag from the locker and left without saying a word to anyone. On the drive home, I kept checking my rearview mirror even though I knew how ridiculous that looked. I didn't see her car behind me, but that didn't make me feel better. If anything, it made it worse because it meant I didn't know what she was driving or how much she actually knew about me. When I got home, I went straight to Instagram. I searched the gym's location tag and started scrolling through recent posts looking for her face. It took about 15 minutes, but I found her. Her account was public. Her name was Vanessa. She had about 400 followers, mostly fitness content, motivational quotes, progress photos, that kind of thing. I scrolled back through her feed, looking for anything that seemed off. Most of it was normal. Then I got to a post from 3 weeks ago. It was a mirror selfie taken at the gym. In the background, barely visible but definitely there, was me on the leg press. I was in the corner of the frame, slightly out of focus, but it was clearly me. The caption said something generic about pushing through tough days. There were no tags, no mention of me, but I was in the photo. I scrolled further. 2 weeks before that, another gym selfie. Same thing. I was in the background again, this time near the dumbbells. She had cropped it in a way that made it look accidental, but the more I stared at it, the more intentional it felt. I didn't sleep well that night. I kept thinking about how many times she might have taken photos of me that she didn't post. How long she had been doing this before I noticed. The next morning, I decided I was going to say something. Not to her, to the front desk. I drove to the gym around noon on a Sunday when I knew it would be busy and walked straight up to the counter. The guy working was someone I had seen before but never spoken to. I kept my voice low and told him there was a woman who had been following me around the gym for weeks and that I had found photos of myself on her social media that I didn't consent to. I showed him her profile on my phone. He looked uncomfortable immediately. He said he would talk to the manager and they would review the cameras. He took down my name and number and said someone would call me. No one called. 3 days went by and I heard nothing. I went back to the gym on Wednesday night. Later than usual, around 10 p.m. I thought maybe if I kept varying my schedule, it would be harder for her to anticipate. The gym was almost empty. There were maybe 6 other people spread out across the floor. I started my workout on the treadmill just to warm up, and after 10 minutes I moved to the bench press. I was halfway through my second set when I saw her walk in. At 10 p.m. on a Wednesday, she walked past the front desk, past the cardio equipment, and stopped at a machine with a direct view of where I was. She sat down and didn't move. That's when I made the decision. I got up, walked directly over to her, and asked her why she was following me. I didn't yell. I kept my voice steady. I just asked the question. She stared at me for a second with this blank expression that I can still picture perfectly. Then she smiled. Not a friendly smile. Something else. She said she didn't know what I was talking about. I told her I had seen the photos. I told her I knew she had been watching me. She tilted her head slightly and said I was being paranoid. Then she said maybe I should be more careful about who I accuse. The way she said it didn't sound like advice. It sounded like a warning. I walked away and went straight to the front desk. The same guy from Sunday was working. I told him she was here right now and that I wanted her removed or I was calling the police. He said he couldn't do that without manager approval and the manager wasn't in. I asked if he had reviewed the cameras like he said he would, and he just looked at me. He hadn't. No one had. That was when I realized the gym wasn't going to do anything. I canceled my membership on the spot. I didn't care that I had 6 months left on my contract. I didn't care about the cancellation fee. I just wanted out. For about 2 weeks, I didn't go to any gym. I worked out at home with the dumbbells I had in my garage. It wasn't the same, but it felt safer. Then I signed up at a different gym across town. It was farther from my house and more expensive, but I didn't care. I needed a reset. The first week at the new gym was fine. No issues. I started to feel like maybe the whole thing was behind me. Then on a Friday night, I was doing shoulder presses when I looked up at the mirror, and my blood went cold. She was there, not in workout clothes this time. She was standing near the entrance in jeans and a jacket, just standing there looking directly at me. I dropped the weights and turned around, but by the time I did, she was already walking out the door. I ran after her into the parking lot, but she was gone. I didn't see which direction she went. I didn't see a car. She had just vanished. I reported it to the staff at the new gym. I told them everything. They said they would keep an eye out, but I could tell they didn't really believe me. I pulled up the security footage request form and submitted it that night from my phone. I never heard back. I didn't go back to that gym either. I drove to a third one about 40 minutes from my house in a completely different part of the city. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. I didn't check in on any apps. I didn't post anything. I paid in cash for a month-to-month membership, so there wouldn't be a credit card trail. I know how that sounds. I know it sounds extreme, but I didn't know what else to do. This woman had found me twice. I wasn't going to give her a third chance. The new gym was smaller and older. The equipment wasn't as nice, but it was always nearly empty when I went, which was exactly what I needed. For 3 weeks, everything was fine. I started to convince myself that I had finally lost her. I even started to feel a little stupid for how far I had taken it. Maybe she had gotten bored. Maybe she had moved on to someone else. Maybe I really had been overreacting. That's what I kept telling myself, even though I didn't believe it. Then one night I came home from the gym around 11 p.m. and noticed my front door was slightly open. Not wide open, just enough that the frame wasn't flush with the door. I live alone in a small rental house. I'm obsessive about locking doors. I know I locked it when I left. I stood there on my porch for a long time just staring at that gap, trying to come up with an explanation that made sense. The wind, a faulty lock, anything. I pulled out my phone and called the police. I didn't go inside. I waited on the curb until they arrived. 2 officers showed up about 10 minutes later. They went inside and checked every room while I waited outside. When they came back out, they told me no one was inside and nothing looked disturbed. They said the lock looked fine and asked if I was sure I had locked it. I told them I was sure. They took a report and said to call again if anything else happened. Then they left. I went inside and walked through every room myself. They were right. Nothing was missing. Nothing was moved. But I couldn't shake the feeling that someone had been in there. The air felt different. I can't explain it better than that. It just felt like the space had been invaded. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on my couch with a knife from the kitchen on the cushion next to me and stared at the front door until the sun came up. The next day, I installed a deadbolt and a chain lock. I also installed a Ring camera above the door. It wasn't much, but it made me feel slightly less exposed. 2 days later, I got a notification on my phone from the Ring app. Motion detected at my front door. I opened the app and watched the live feed. It was her, standing on my porch at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, staring directly into the camera. She wasn't trying to open the door. She wasn't knocking. She was just standing there. I watched for maybe 15 seconds before she turned and walked away. I immediately called the police again and sent them the video. They said they would send someone out. An officer came by an hour later. I showed him the video and explained everything. The gyms, the photos, the following, all of it. He took notes and said he would try to identify her and possibly issue a warning or a restraining order, depending on what they found. He told me to keep recording everything and to call immediately if she came back. That was 6 months ago. I never heard anything back from the police. I followed up twice, and both times I was told the case was still open, but there were no updates. I moved 3 months ago. I didn't renew my lease. I found a place in a different neighborhood farther from where I used to live. I haven't been to a gym since. I work out at home now. I bought a barbell and some plates off Facebook Marketplace, and I do everything in my garage. It's not the same. I miss the routine. I miss the structure. But I don't miss looking over my shoulder every 5 minutes. I still check the Ring camera on my old place, sometimes even though I don't live there anymore. The landlord hasn't made me take it down yet. I know it's irrational, but part of me wants to see if she ever goes back there looking for me. So far, she hasn't, or at least the camera hasn't caught her. I don't know which possibility is worse. I've thought a lot about what I could have done differently. Maybe I should have confronted her earlier. Maybe I should have been louder about it at the first gym. Maybe I should have gone to the police sooner. But I also know that none of those things guarantee a different outcome. The truth is, once someone decides they're going to fixate on you, there's not much you can do except remove yourself from the situation entirely and hope they lose interest. I don't know where she is now. I don't know if she's doing this to someone else. I deleted my Instagram and made all my other social media private. I don't post locations anymore. I don't check in anywhere. It's exhausting living like this, but it's better than the alternative. So my advice is simple. If someone's behavior makes you uncomfortable, don't rationalize it. Don't convince yourself you're overreacting. Trust that feeling in your gut. And if you have to burn your whole routine to the ground to feel safe again, do it. It's not worth the risk.